baton was passed, hopping down. Cause failing's not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.
Welcome to another episode of That Is Not a Noun. My name is Ishmael, changing the narrative for men of color and fatherhood, as well as changing the narrative on the things I care about. And today, what I want to talk about is the continual story of Stay on the Course with my good brother Keenon. With Father Day coming around, often we rarely hear the journey of a single father. I had a past guest on, Eric Rivera. He came on and shared his experience as a single father. So Keenan is going to come back on with me and share his journey as a single father. Keenan, how you doing, brother?
I'm pretty good. I'm good. Good. Fresh from my daughter's soccer practice. So,
Nice. How
so
well did she do? She did good.
yeah, yeah. It's a little skills and drills training. But
Nice. And my next question, that question I ask all my guests. How's your heart?
how was what?
My question I ask all my guests. How's your heart? I'm all about the mental health. How's your heart?
Oh, you went real deep, real quick. That's a big question. I need to ask my therapist about that or something. My heart is in a really good place. It's in a good place. I've been pretty conscious about it and conscious about mental health of late. So I've been taking all the precautions that I need to. Well, no, I'm not gonna say all. That's an extreme, but a lot of precautions that I need to, and I'm talking with people who I trust, and taking some time to have some peaceful time. I go to the beach. We go to the beach, my daughter and I. So we do. We go outside in nature and just have a good time. We live in the country, so it's a little easier for us to get to the
No,
beach. But yeah, I take time when I need to, and I'm working from home these days, so that makes it a lot easier to manage my mental health.
that's good. The good. And then tell me about your transition, because the last time we talked, we were on lockdown because of COVID. So how has been that transition for you? Um, being out of lockdown.
Mm, it's been pretty good. I mean, to be honest, I enjoyed being on lockdown. I did. I have a very fast paced, or had a very fast paced life as a teacher, and then very active in the community as well. I was on the go all the time, so to take the break that we all took together for me meant slowing down and really being able to prioritize the things that were most important and the time that I needed to take. I realized that it's okay to just sit still. Sometimes I remember that lesson in all of it. Like it's actually okay to be still sometimes and not get off course, if you will. A little shameless plug for me, stay on course, Dad. But uh, it was a good lesson in it, and I took it with me after COVID too.
No, that's good, man. And through that, how has your relationship been with your daughter since to go from COVID lockdown to now? That sense of freedom that now you guys can go out and about. How's that? How's the relationship? Has the relationship been a lot stronger since, or has it always been stronger?
It's always been pretty strong, but it's gotten stronger for a few reasons. One, because like all the places that she really liked to go were locked down, so we couldn't go to trampoline parks. The beach was like there was limited access, and all of the other places that we had grown accustomed to going to, they weren't accessible anymore. So then we had to get creative at home and with family and like however else we could get in some fun time. And we were able to do it. Like we did it and did it quite well, but it was a challenge during that time. Now that everything is open, you know, it's wide open. So we're busy. We stay busy. She puts in her suggestions. She's 7 years old now, so she's at the point where she can think up stuff and not just think of it, but research it. She's learned the tools that the pandemic actually strengthened her in the abilities to look up things on YouTube and to look online. I looked it up and they're open and they open this time and this is what they have. So there's no more like little kid who's relying all the way on me. Like, you think we could do this?
Right.
Now well, can't you just ask Siri? Or can I ask phone? You know what I mean? Like she's getting older and learning that she actually has access to some information as well. So that's a good thing
And
overall.
like, yeah, then like just talk about that the level of you see her maturation, she's growing, that sense of independence, like just talk about that, like as a father as she's maturing. Again, like you were saying earlier, she's like looking up stuff herself. She's not asking you questions about it. She's looking up herself. Like, so just talk about that level of that her trying to find herself in that that level of independence.
Well, it's really what most parents want from their children is to know that you've been able to teach them independence. Of course, interdependence is quite necessary. I have to say that, former teacher and community leader. I gotta put that in there too. Interdependence is great, and especially for us people who are from indigenous cultures and of color, those of color. That's something that we really, really oftentimes it isn't like given as much attention, like the importance of community building and leaning on community, but that is near and dear to all of us. But to get back to your question, it is important to teach a certain level of independence. And as a parent, it's good, but there's certainly a tearing. Like as a dad, especially a girl dad, like I get used to her leaning on me and relying on me, like literally most of the time. You guys are lucky because she's watching a Little Mermaid right now, but normally she's attached. Everybody knows this. Who knows us that she's attached when we're together. But to experience her like pulling away a bit and learning to do things on her own is like, man, I'm happy, but at the same time, oh my god, my little girl is growing up. Like, we went to one of our favorite places, a little carnival style amusement park at the beach, and last weekend she went and got on a ride that she wasn't able to ride in past years because she wasn't tall enough, old enough or tall enough. So she discovered that she is old enough, well, tall enough, and we got on the ride together one time. And then she went right back on. She got excited, like, "Oh, let's get back on there. Let's get back on the ride." And I said, "Well, I mean, we gonna learn this lesson that you don't always just get on rides like back to back. That's not something. Take a little break, get on the ride, take a break, get on the ride." But she was like, and I could see the wheels turning. And
Right.
she said, "I think I can handle getting on it by myself."
Right.
And then I was like, "What? Like you get on by yourself? This is one of those like flipping, turning, twirling, upside down. That's my baby. She's 7 years old." So I had a moment, but then I was like, well, this is what we're striving for. Like this is really a good thing that she's feeling confident enough that you stay here. And she gave me some responsibilities, like, hey, can you take pictures and send them to my mommy because I want her to see them. So there's that, and I'm like, yeah, I will. Part of me wanted to be on that ride and hold her
Right.
hand the second time and be there to support her through it, but to know that she could do it and was volunteering to do it was great. And it was interesting because we have really good communication between us, and she was even able to tell me afterward that she got a little scared. She was saying like, Daddy, guess what, I got scared, like when they were about to start the ride. I really wanted to get off, but
Right.
it was too late. But then when it got started, I realized like I could handle it. It was good. Like it was good. So it was good to see her go through that, for me to have that whole tearing away of my like I just want
Right.
to be her dad. But then to know that she actually there was a lesson in it for her too, where she felt fear and felt like, oh my God, I can't do this. I'm gonna give up. Like let me off. And then it was too late. So that's a different level of fear. But then she's like, okay, I can handle it. Suck it up. The ride is starting. And she did it. And then to gain that extra confidence that, you know what, I was afraid. I didn't know if I could do it. I wanted to leave. And then I stuck with it. And now I know that I can do it. Like I can do
Right.
the whole process. So then it was no stopping her. She was like, oh, okay, well, we're going to go. We went back in a couple more days. And she was like, all right, I'm going to start off. And I'm getting on this ride first and that ride and this ride. And I can do it by myself. And I'm like, man, I'm just not even needed anymore. You know?
But man, that's awesome, bro. But yeah, to talk about the importance of like the having that open communication. Because I told a lot of people, did you see the spider into the universe, the Spider Verse yet?
No, I didn't see it yet.
Okay, so I don't want to mess it up with, don't want to mess it up. Um, but
For me or somebody else who hasn't
yeah,
seen it.
yeah. But I just, to me, I felt like that's one of the all-time father movies of all time. And I
Hmm.
think one of the things about that film is the open comfortable, that open dialogue with the dad.
Okay.
So just like talk about, because if you think about like Spider-Man, the Spider-Man universe and everything like that, you know, if you talk about like um, Peter Parker, you know, felt uncomfortable talking to Uncle Ben about him being Spider-Man before Uncle Ben died. You know what I'm saying? So just talk about like that importance of having that open dialogue with your daughter, and just for parents in general.
Yeah. Well, it is vitally important. I think sometimes as parents, even like I'm reflecting back on when I was growing up, and like the generational difference. Oftentimes, as a parent, the message that is sent, whether directly or indirectly, is "I know more than you do," and it's easy to send. Like you can, whatever the case may be, if they come to you in need of something, you can always say like, "Well, here you go again, asking me for." Like it seems like it's a burden. I saw a video. I don't even remember who released the video, but there was a child who was talking. Just a little off topic, but it'll come right back in a minute. There was a young girl who was talking, and she said to her mom, she was like, "Sometimes I feel like you don't even want me, like because you're always talking about when I ask for something, you're always saying like, well, before you were born, I had this, I had that, I had that, I had that, and I had to sacrifice for you, and now you don't even appreciate it." So she was telling her mom, like, "Ma, like for real, when you talk to me like that, it seems like what the underlying message is, you had it better before I was here. Like the underlying message is you wish that you had life before because it was a lot easier for you, or you're doing all this sacrificing for me. You act like you don't want to sacrifice. So it's like I'm a burden, I'm a burden, I'm a burden. Like that's all I'm hearing as a child. So then she was like, you wonder why I don't even want to be here. And that's like a mental health thing with kids. Like sometimes we don't think about the things that we say and what is the underlying message because kids catch stuff
Yeah.
and they catch it like before we realize it. But that stuck to me, and I thought, you know what, I want to make sure that my daughter feels that I appreciate her and feels that I love her and that there's a way open line of communication. So I go as far as telling her I'm not upset with you. I'm not mad at you. Like she make a little mistake, I'm like, I'm not mad. And she'll ask sometimes, she'll be like, Daddy, are you mad at me? She'll drop something on the floor. That happened not that long ago. Not paying attention, drop something on the floor, makes a big mess. And the first question is, Daddy, are you mad at me? And I'm like, nah, we got to clean this stuff up though, because if we let it sit here, it's gonna make a big mess. We got to clean this. I'm not mad. The longer I stay mad, the longer the stain is gonna get.
Yeah.
So that's what I turned the focus on because I know as a child, if they're fearful to talk to you, then they're gonna hide stuff.
Yeah.
And as a kid, I did that. I mean, I know a lot of people who did it, but as a kid, I would do that if I anticipated I was gonna get some kind of punishment that I didn't want as a result of it, then I would do my best to hide it. If I could get away with hiding it, then I'm gonna hide it. There was some things I was pretty good at. There was a hole in my bedroom walls I covered with some artwork that my parents didn't even discover until I showed it to them. But I was like in college and gone by then. Then I was like, oh yeah, by the way, when I was like 12, that's why I moved this right here because slide it out the way. Yeah, there's a hole back there. So you'll do that, and I know my daughter's not any different than any other kid in that regard. If she feels like she can't trust me to not be mad at her every time she does something, then she's going to hide stuff or she's going to lie because that's what kids do. They lie. That's the easiest way to get out of it in their minds. But to build into them, like, you know what, you never have to lie to me because I'm not mad. Like, I'm not gonna be mad at you.
Right.
I'm not mad for what? I did the same kind of stuff that you did. And I do that too, like that affirmation where she realizes that, the mistakes that I'm making now, daddy did them when he was my age.
Right.
So I'm not unique. I'm not like this terrible person that, oh my God, I've ruined his life. No, it's, well, girl, you know how many times daddy lied and thought that he was gonna get away with stuff? And it was just easier for me to tell the truth or to tell her like a real life thing. Like I say this to her often. I'm like, yeah, I say don't lie because if you tell one lie, you got to cover it with more, and that takes a lot of time. Like it's just a lot of time. So then she'll talk to me about like kids at school who do certain things, and sometimes it's like kids in school.
Yeah.
You tell somebody else to
Yeah.
figure out what the consequence might be. So I see that too, and I'm like, well, oh, they did. Like I'm asking questions, like I want to know what happened too.
Right.
But all the while, I'm like, well, there's a different way to do that. How else do you think they could do that? So
Right.
we talk through and communicate, like, okay, if this was one thing that happened, what is another thing that you think could happen? And we just talk, and it's no judgment, no penalty.
Right.
'Cause for what? Because most of the stuff the things that she struggles with, and any kid struggles with, where do they get it from? Either something that parents or guardians gave them,
Mm-hmm.
or it's a result of things that parents or guardians did not give them.
Right.
So ultimately, I mean, you could just punish them all the time, but
Right.
I think our generation should have learned enough about that if you just punish them, punish them, punish them, punish them, and don't explain anything to them
Right.
and own up to some of the stuff that's just your fault, then you really debilitate them. You cripple them.
No, true, true. I definitely agree with that. And then my next question, I know this is going to be a very uncomfortable question. I had posted a video on social media um,
Hmm.
of a little girl and the couple in the car. And the little girl called the gentleman dad.
Hmm.
Again, I don't know the whole full story of their relationship, but I guess, the biological father wasn't in the life. And then the gentleman stepped up to be that father figure. And she called him dad. And I saw a comment from you, and you felt uncomfortable with it because I think from our previous interview, you had a situation like that, you know, but you are involved, and you were always involved with your daughter, from the beginning. But yeah, like just tell what's your feelings on that of, you know, seeing like or hearing or seeing like uh, a child calling another man dad, even though the dad is the biological father is in the life in the child's life.
Right. Yeah. So I saw the video, and it was a good video. Like I clicked on it, watched
Right,
it, and I saw what was happening, and then I could see that. Like I read the comments because it was like everybody in the comments was like, "Oh, that's great! Like I think every kid should call their stepdad dad. Like they should call him dad because he earned that, and he's
right,
like all in support of any child that has a stepdad should call their stepfather father."
right,
And I read it, and I have a lot of different experiences that give me a lot of perspective. One, I grew up without my biological father, and I had have a stepfather who wasn't a stepfather at all because he was father. He was the only father that I knew until I realized that I actually had another father. So I've experienced that. I've also raised kids who are not my own, or been very pivotal in raising kids who are not my own. And I chose to make sure that they've never called me dad. And they would call me dad in public and in private. And I would say, no, you have your dad, and tell them your dad's name is. So I was very intentional about that because I never wanted to take that away from the person who had the role. And even my mom, I think I shared this in the first interview. My mom, she was very aware of um, some negative circumstances of my biological father's life, and she never told me because then when I finally found out, I was like 16 years old, and I found out how my biological father had been living, and I went to my mom and was like, "Oh my God," I'm telling her about it, like, "Oh, this is crazy. Oh, that's what I found out." And you can read your parents.
right,
So I could tell by her reaction that she knew already, and I was like, what do you mean? Like then it's like, whoa, I'm just learning this. You knew this? And then she explained to me, like, yeah, I knew it, but I always wanted you to develop your own relationship with your dad. No matter what kind of person he is, or if he didn't show up for you, or whatever, all that stuff, he's still a man, and he's still a person, and he's still your father. So you should have that right, not me as your mom, to take that away from you or influence it at all. So I ain't telling you nothing. You find out on your own. You have a decision to make. Do you accept him in your life as is, or do you not? But I'm not gonna be the person that takes it away from you. So all of that, and then I'm currently, a single father, co-parenting, and my ex did get remarried, and so my daughter has a stepfather now. So for me, I would be lying a lot if I said that I was just like, oh great, stepdad,
Right,
she's got another father figure. No, I was like, I'm her dad. Like
right,
that's my daughter. She's been my daughter forever. She's my only kid. So I'm like very much, she's my daughter. So when I watch the video, I get people's responses, and I agree to a certain extent. Having had a stepfather who was the father in my life, he's owed that.
right,
Like he owed that role, and I've learned to really really appreciate it even more now, like as an adult.
right.
At the same time, there's another story. Like, and I'm a former English teacher, and I always teach my kids about perspective and 3D perspective. Like, there's multiple sides of things to examine. So when I watched that video, I was thinking, well, I hear that, but as a biological father reading this and seeing it, there's another side. Like, there's somebody else involved here that watching it is probably grieved
Right,
at the fact that his biological daughter is calling another man father, and
right,
that the mother is supporting it so much. Like mom was going ham,
right,
and that you just see in the video, like, yes, she had been telling me for a long time that she wanted to
right,
call you, and she's written it in her journal,
right,
whatever she was saying. It was like a big family moment, and it was great, great family moment, and they were all coming together. And oh my God, you called me dad for the first
right.
time. I love this. So it was great, but at the same time, as a biological father, like I was like, okay, I gotta type on behalf of biological fathers watching this. Everybody's not so hype about this situation. Like everybody's not watching it like, yo, yeah, every stepchild should call their dad dad.
Right,
Now at the same time, I actually appreciate, and this is me removing myself from my immediate
yes,
reaction, but I do see the benefit in my daughter having um, me as her biological father and a stepfather. Because at times I would have loved to have both.
right,
Um, I didn't as a child growing up. So things that my daughter will be afforded that I didn't have are two different male perspectives on things, two different households that are
right,
governed by two
right,
different, like, dad, and she comes over to my house where I am right now, and
right,
it's world, it's her and me. That's it.
right,
There's no other kid to compete with. All the toys are hers, all the space is hers, the outdoors is everything. Like it's her domain. So whenever she gets the time, and I having a stepfather and a younger sibling like she has now, there were times when I really just wanted to leave. Like I
right,
got tired of being big brother, tired of having all this responsibility, tired of my stepdad talking, my mom and him, like all that stuff. There were times when as a kid I would write about it, like other worlds. Like I just want to be somewhere else and write about where I want to be and all that. But I didn't have the actual escape. And that's what my daughter has now. If she wants to get away and just play, just do like arts and crafts with daddy, or science projects, or play outside, or walk up and down the steps that I built for it, like that kind of stuff.
right.
She has as an option. She can, and it's a phone call away. Hey, Dad, can you come pick me up? hmm Yeah, So there's a real benefit, and then also, um, it's good for her to see different kinds of households, to be able to live in one. Because sometimes we can get real preachy about stuff too. Sometimes, and make it seem like one type of household is the only way to live. And that could be like, mom and dad. Every kid should have a mom and dad. If they don't, then it's incomplete.
Right.
And I've heard that throughout my life and thought about it. Like, a woman can't raise a man. A man can't raise a girl. Like, come on now. There's a lot of extremes that exist. when we talk about like types of families
Mhm.
and types of parents or guardians even that really put boxes around parenthood and boxes around raising kids that just really don't exist. They really don't exist. So I think in the same way about like the opportunities that my daughter has. And like if mom or stepdad are not available for any reason, I'm right there.
Yeah.
Or sometimes all of us are there together and she gets to see the unit together. And she doesn't have to think like, oh God, there's such feuding, there's controversy between them. Dad don't like stepdad.
Mhm.
No, I, I don't even show that face to her because it's not important.
No, I feel you on that, bro. And I think the beauty of your daughter is that how mature she is at that age 7 to understand. 'Cause some kids at 7 may not understand like why mommy, daddy not together and why like mommy with another guy. Like she fully understands the situation and that's extraordinary.
hmm Yeah, she gets it. Now it was a little, and the funny thing with her, and I explained this to some other family members who had questions about like, well, how are you going to explain it to her? And I took some time to think about it. That because of the age that she was when her mother and I divorced, her norm is this.
Right.
And oftentimes as adults, we are we're just so encompassed in, oh my God, how are you going to explain all these things that we don't think? Well, she don't know. She doesn't know any different. For her, as far back as her memory goes, she comes to visit daddy here and mommy there.
Right.
And then, mommy got married, mommy has a kid. That's like she's building her life around that. But the constant is she knows that it's absolutely normal to like be with dad when I'm with dad, be with mom when I'm with mom. And she knows and understands like this is part of my like I have this whole family. And these people are they belong to daddy.
Right.
These people belong to mommy. These they know. Like there's some people that we both know um because of community, So she understands that and is able to piece it together too. And what she doesn't understand, I take the time to explain to her
Right.
because it was very confusing to me growing up and not having a relationship with my biological father. It wasn't until later that I learned about some people who live in my community who are related to.
Right.
So I don't want that to be her reality where she's got to like, oh, I didn't know that my friend is actually my second cousin. I see him in church all the time, and I thought he was cute. And oh, dang, that's my first cousin. Like, no. Mm-mm.
I don't know, man, and I think that's important, and what I think is the most important thing. There's no toxicity in the relationship. Like, you don't bad mouth her mother.
Mm-mm.
Your ex don't bad mouth you. And I think that's some. Yeah, I'm hoping, and that's I think this what's benefits your daughter is that she sees her two parents. There's never I don't know, but no negativity in front of her.
Mm-mm. No, and that's one thing that one thing that I say over and over again. I think I probably said it in the first interview that we did, but control the controllable has been something that I learned from years ago, and I carry it with me. That there's a lot like I am not able to control what happens when my daughter is not with me
Right.
at all. And that's not just like, well, when she's with her mother, but when she's at school or if she's with another family member or like whatever, when she's not with me, I don't know.
Right.
I have no idea. So I could worry myself. And there were times earlier when I did, like I was totally vexed about, oh my God, what is going on? Where is she? I wonder what's going on. I wonder what she's thinking or saying, like all that. And you can go real crazy. You talk about mental health. As a parent, you can go real crazy thinking through what life is like on the other side. If you're co-parenting, I've heard other co-parents I've talked with, dads who like whether there's a stepfather or not, or a boyfriend or not, or whatever or not, that unknown can wreak havoc on your mind and take you to some real dark places. But um, to really think about it, like, you know what? I don't know. Like people ask me, they see me without my daughter,
Right.
and on social media, like you always see us together.
Right.
Yeah, social media. But people are like, "Where's it? Oh, hey, where's your daughter?" I'm like, "With her mom, I hope." I don't, like, like if she was here, you would see her with me.
Right.
So typically, if you don't see her with me, she's not with me. Like that's,
Right.
I don't know. Um, but yeah, it's not it's not worth building any kind of animosity in front of her towards her mom. In fact, I've made it my business to like build bridges. Like I want her to love her mom. She loves her mom.
Right.
I want her to love her. I love my mom. Like that's a bond that I know that like it benefits you to have while you have it. So like I love my mom. I know that my ex-wife loves her mom. Like really, really loves her mom. So that's not something I'd ever want to take away from. So like we make stuff for her mom. We go pick flowers for her mom. We do a lot. Sometimes my daughter will have an idea for something that she wants to do, like arts and crafts, and it really turns into a daddy project where she's like, "Ooh, no, I wanted that there, and I want this here, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm over here making this thing for her mom. Like that's real crazy when you think about it. But really, what am I doing? I'm making things like I'm building relationships for my daughter
Right.
that is important for her. I don't like we've made stuff and painted stuff and done like arts and crafts for her grandparents on her
Yeah.
mom's side. And I know a lot of people can get so caught up in like all of the feuding. Like it's just a feud all the time and the
Mm.
drama. I think everybody wants to be on a Real Housewives or House Husbands or somebody. It just
Yeah.
feels that way. Like put in your application and try to get paid there, but don't bring it into your regular life because it's exhausting, really. So I
Mhm.
figure I might as well put all my effort into supporting the stuff that my daughter likes, and she absolutely loves her mom. So that was I told, and quickly I'll say this, but um, all kids when they learn how to play one against the other.
Right.
So when my daughter was younger, she used to like if she would get frustrated with me, she would say, "I want my mommy, I want my mommy." She get frustrated with her mom. I want my daddy. Can I call my daddy? I want. So that's what she would do. And then during like visits, when she was with me, if it was time to go, sometimes she would be like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. So I just outsmarted her. Oops, hope she's not listening. I really just outsmarted her and decided that we were going to make something fun out of it. So then instead of it being like, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. We made a point. Well, I made a point to have her make something for her mom, like during the weekend.
Mm.
When it was time to go, I'm like, "Hey, go get your flower. You got to go get the flower because your mommy's gonna want the flower, right?"
Right.
And she goes and like running off to get this flower. She finds it. Yeah, I can't wait to give it to mommy. Okay, great. She's gonna love to see this. So we make the departure time all about like giving mommy something. Now it has backfired. So now she's in the pattern of doing it. So like some of our weekends are all about making something
Right.
for mommy. But is it negative? No. And when mommy had a baby, it was, oh, my little brother, like a lot of conversation about my younger sibling that's coming.
Right.
And I know what that feels like too. Like I know what it's like to have a little sibling on the way and to get excited about it. So am I gonna be bitter and be like, oh my kids, I don't,
Yeah.
don't talk to me about your little brother. Like don't nobody
Yeah.
care about that. I could, but I never did. So it was like if she wants to talk about it, we're gonna talk about little brother. And I'm preparing her for it. Like, hey, as big sister,
Yeah.
you gotta clean up. Mommy's gonna want you to help her like carry stuff. So you're gonna start carrying stuff around here too, like just to get you ready. So I've been privileged because in the way that I've seen parenthood and even co-parenting, there's been a lot of opportunities that I've had to help my daughter um, be more prepared for life
Right.
in the other house. Even building her independence because I know that her other parents are going to need some independent time in ways that I don't. So I'm like, well, could I cripple this situation? Absolutely. Like as a parent, yeah, you can really wreak some havoc on that co-parenting
Right.
household in a lot of different ways. But to think that I could really be an asset, and whether or not they see it like that, I don't know. But to know that, like for example, I'm a teacher. I can help my daughter out with things that she doesn't understand academically. I have a yard and I have a green thumb. So like she can learn about plants and horticulture. Like there's a lot of things that I have the time to do with her, arts and crafts and
Right.
science projects and so many other things that I know I just have more time. So why not give it to
Right.
her? Yeah.
No, man, that's so true, man. And I appreciate your time, and I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I don't know if your daughter's like listening, like she's listening to the conversation at the same time, playing it off like she's watching a Little Mermaid. But
Me.
but man, I appreciate this, man. How can people find you on social media, man?
Oh, well, my I believe it's gonna show like right
Yeah.
here.
Mm-hmm.
Right, yeah. That's my IG. I should have put IG like you did yours, but that's my IG handle. Stay on course, Dad. You'll see a lot of posts about my daughter, the two of us, our adventure. Stay tuned. The story on the weekends, the story is filled with roller coasters and trampoline parks and the beach and museums. I'm exhausted by the time Monday comes. So, but it's on purpose. Like, why not? Why not? And yeah, I just like to encourage dads to use that energy while you still got it. She keeps me young. Like I'm jumping around all the time, running around all the time. So that's what she wants. So as long as I can, I do.
And you do a hell of a great job. Don't you have a YouTube channel, or are you working on that YouTube channel?
I started the YouTube channel, but I really didn't populate it that heavily yet. But stay
Okay.
tuned,
All
and we'll
right.
see. I
All
got
right.
some ideas for some books that
All right.
good
So
things.
when you get that ready, you always welcome to come back on. Again, thank you for coming on. I want to wish you a happy Father's Day, and I want to wish all the dads out there a happy Father's Day. Even if you're not a dad, happy Father's Day, because you somebody is looking up to you. You may not have a son or a daughter, but you have a nephew, you have a niece, you have students, you have someone looking up to you. So out to all those been out there, happy Father's Day. And again, this has been another amazing conversation on the podcast. Follow me on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, wherever you see Dad is Not a Now. You'll hear this voice and you'll see this face. And again, it was dope. And wait till the next episode on the road to 200 episodes. So we're out of here. Peace. Stay on.
Yep.
Not an option, and dad is not a noun, not at all.